First step to being a godly girl is knowing God. Like, the first and the most important, more than meeting requirements on a list.
You should know that you're worth these things because that's what God has called you to, and to elevate you to those places. You're not going to just become them overnight.
I think there's a reason that there's different women highlighted in the Bible, because it's not like we have to fit into this category of a Proverbs 31 woman.
Charm is deceptive and beauty is fleeting, but a woman who fears the Lord is to be praised.
As a girl, it's so hard getting older. Like, being in my 20s even, and knowing that people who I never would have thought are getting Botox.
Arms are strong for her task. I'm not doing that. You don't get a glimpse of that. That's only from my husband.
Well, I've worked really hard for this. Like, I've put in the effort to work for my body, so like, I should show it off, right? It's like, no, it's a temple.
Out of her earrings, she plants a vineyard. If you're planting vineyards out of your earrings, I need some of that juice.
Reread that.
Wait, did I
Out of her earnings? Hey, godly girls
and guys,
this podcast is for God, from us, and to you.
You're listening to XOXO Godly Girls. We're just two best friends who like to talk and love Jesus.
Tune in every Friday for new episodes wherever you stream podcasts.
We're excited to grow with you in this faith journey.
Are you ready?
Hey everybody, welcome back to the podcast. My name's Abby.
My name is Tori.
And we're so glad that you guys decided to join us today. As of the title has to do something with being a godly girl or guy. I don't know. We didn't really prepare to help anyone out to be a godly guy, but as Tori said earlier in an intro that we're not using now.
So none of you know I said this, but I did.
She did say this, but
what did I say?
These are attributes that you can look for in
a godly girl or a godly woman. Yeah.
If you're a godly guy listening, definitely look for these values or these qualities in a girl. Godly girl.
Don't be listening and think, oh, I'm a guy. This must not apply to me, because this should be what you're looking for in a godly girl. Yeah.
If you ain't looking for this, you don't want it. That's all I'm saying.
You just don't
want it.
We don't even know. We have done like 3 intros today, so
here we are. We're ready to be used by God, and I feel like there's just been a lot of distractions. Yeah. So just centering back to where we're at is okay. When I think of a godly girl, I think of Abby Watkins. I
think of
the
myself.
First name that comes to mind. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. Far from it. Well, no, not far from it. But anyways, whenever we think of godly girls, the first thing that comes to my mind is a Proverbs 31 woman. And so, but whenever I feel like we've always heard, oh, she's a Proverbs 31 woman, but like I've never actually read what a Proverbs 31 woman is. And a Proverbs 31 woman is, I've said that so many times in the past 30 seconds, but
what is a Proverbs 31 woman?
It's a lot. I'll let you read what a Proverbs 31 woman is, and then I'll go into my little spiel of.
Perfect. So this is just kind of a summary. Proverbs chapter 31, starting in verse 10 all the way through 31, is listing out the good qualities of a woman or of a wife. And here is kind of a lump sum of that broken apart, each verse, what it means. So like, she is faithful, she is trustworthy, she is emotionally healthy, delights in work, she is frugal, she is organized, she's decisive, energetic, physically healthy, industrious, hardworking, generous, prepared, modest, proud of her husband, confident in her business, she is not fearful, she has a sense of humor, she is wise, she thinks before she speaks, she is not lazy, she is nurturing, blessed by her family, values inner beauty, fears the Lord, and she does not brag. And
Abby Watkins.
Abby Watkins.
I'm just
so
kidding.
basically,
whenever I read that, I have like an anxiety attack over here because I'm that's so much to live up to.
So much to live up to. It's not possible. Not humanly possible. Not in our own strength. Yeah.
So I looked up why Proverbs 31 was written, and basically this could not be true. It's not in the Bible, but this is what
this is research.
This is what research gave me. So Proverbs 31 wasn't meant to burden women with expectations, but elevate the worth of a God-fearing, wise, and compassionate woman, especially in a culture where women are often undervalued. So, like, whenever we read all these characteristics, they're not all things that, like, oh, I have to hit the mark on all these separate things. It's things that are, like, you should know that you're worth these things because that's what God has called you to, and to elevate you to those places. You're not going to just become them overnight, but they're attributes and things that you should be striving to be.
That's good. It shouldn't be a burden. It should just be revealing your value to you. Like, it should feel like a blessing, not a burden. Like, whoa, God sees me like that, or in the fullness of that when you feel far off from it. Not like, man, I'm never going to achieve it. Even though you, on this side of heaven, you won't be able to 100% of the time achieve all of those things. But you should strive to, because that's how God sees us. Like, why would I not want to live up to how he sees me, or who I should be? Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. Shouldn't be a burden. Should be a blessing.
Okay. Do you want to just read through Proverbs 31?
We can read through it. So what I gave you guys was just a grouped up, like, each verse, what the summary of each line kind of was. But in the fullness of Proverbs 31, let's just read it.
All right. A wife of noble character who can find.
Who can find?
Apparently not this guy. She is worth far more than rubies. Her husband has full confidence in her and lacks nothing of value. She brings him good, not harm, all the days of her life. She selects wool and flax and works with eager hands. I feel like that's like a lot of, I mean, me personally, I'm always like, yeah, keep me in the kitchen. I don't want to go to work.
But even that, saying she's a hard worker. Like.
Yeah. But I think that it is important to go work wherever you are. If you are a person that's a stay-at-home mom, like, or a
That's
stay-at-home
a hard job. I couldn't do it.
Yeah, I mean, you still have work to do, and you're not supposed to be lazy with the things that you're called to do. She is like the merchant ships bringing her food from afar. I don't know what that means. I'm going out into the wilderness to get the food from my husband. I'm sorry. I'm not mocking. I just don't know what that means. She gets up while it is still night. She provides food for her family and portions for her female servants. If you can't tell, this is written in the Old Testament. She considers a field and buys it. Out of her earrings, she plants a vineyard. If you're planting vineyards out of your earrings, I need some of that juice.
Reread that.
Wait,
out of her earnings?
As you can tell, it was written in the Old Testament. They're not making sense.
Out of her earrings.
Okay, in my mind, I was like, yeah, she's like going to buy her crops with her earrings.
I knew what it said too.
Okay.
I was just questioning.
She considers a field and buys it. Out of her earnings, she plants a vineyard. Oh, that's embarrassing. She sets about her work vigorously. Her arms are strong for her task. I'm not doing that. You don't get a glimpse of that. That's only for my husband. She sees that her trading is profitable, and her lamp does not go out at night. In her hand, she holds the distaff and grasps the spindle with her fingers. I looked up what that meant, and it was like really interesting, and now I can't remember what it means. It was like a distaff is an unspun thread, and a spindle is like
the thing that they would spin the thread on.
Yeah. She opens her arms to the poor and extends her hands to the needy. I think as a woman, it's really hard sometimes, like whenever you are hardworking, to be like, oh, I'm going to open my arms to you, like, and give you what I have and what I've worked for. You know what I mean? But also, like, it's not. Like, as a woman, we're called to do that, so I don't know. Anyways, when it snows, she has no fear for her household, for all of them are clothed in scarlet. She makes coverings for her bed, and she is clothed in fine linen and purple. Her husband is respected at the city gate, where he takes his seat among the elders of the land. She makes linen garments and sells them, and supplies the merchants with sashes. She is clothed with strength and dignity. She can laugh at the days to come. She speaks with wisdom, and faithful instruction is on her tongue. She watches over the affairs of her household, and does not eat the bread of idleness. Her children arise and call her blessed. Her husband also, and he praises her. Many women do noble things, but you surpass them all. Charm is deceptive and beauty is fleeting, but a woman who fears the Lord is to be praised. Honor her for all that her hands have done, and let her works bring her praise at the city gate.
That's good. I think it's funny how usually when you hear Proverbs 31 woman, and it's always tied to the verse of she is clothed with strength and dignity, and she laughs without fear of the future. But there's so much more that was encompassed in that. But when I looked that up and I sent it to you, we're thinking, Well, on that first most popular one, we already fail. Because we do not laugh without fear of the future. Like, I want to just be like, oh, whatever is in God's will, and then just laugh it off. But I get stressed. Yeah. I trust the Lord.
I mean, I do, but that's still scary.
It's scary. Like, the most popular, well-known one, I can't, don't even do that.
Yeah. It's
a good starting point.
Yeah. It's hard, like, especially right now in our seasons of life,
Yeah.
everything is, like, changing. But in any season, I feel like it's hard to trust, like, okay, what is my plan? Am I going to have a boyfriend in the future? Am I going to have a husband? Am I going to have a job? Am I going to be able to provide? And blah, 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 whatever it is. I think it's really hard to fully trust those things because you also have to do the work to get those things. Does that make sense? You have to meet God in the middle to get those.
Yeah, like you want to trust, but you also have to work towards. And so you get stressed because you don't know that, like, you know you have to take a step. You shouldn't just sit back and wait for God to do something. Like, he's going to do something through you taking the step and being obedient. But it's really hard to just do that when you don't know the future. And do you know of anyone who just laughs about the future and is unafraid? I don't know a single person.
My 18-year-old self.
Okay, actually, yeah. If there was anyone in my mind that laughs without fear of the future, it is you.
It was.
This is the first time ever that I feel like the unknown is becoming scary.
Mm-hmm. And I think it's easy, like, to get in my head now because I had my whole life planned out and everything changed. And so I was talking to Luke actually about this the other day, and he was like, but where does God get the glory if you have your whole life planned out? And I'm like, oh, you're right. And so I still have to take a moment to step back and say, okay, God, you got this, and fully trust that he has the plans. Is that easy? No, it's scary, but
it's hard. I was literally in tears to you, like, this is scary though. It's scary. I wish I could just laugh. I'm laughing now, but it's
in a
hard.
couple hours I won't be. I'll be crying myself to sleep.
But today's episode's not about worry. We're
Don't
fine.
worry.
We're just going with the flow of whatever the Lord has for us. And that is the trait of a godly girl.
XOXO.
I like one of the last lines on there that said something about how you read it in a second.
Close to a strength and dignity.
Not that one, but the one that says how it's the inner beauty.
Oh, charm is deceptive and beauty is fleeting, but a woman who fears the Lord is to be praised.
Yeah, I like that one.
I mean, we're all getting older and we're not going to be beautiful for it. I mean, God still sees us as beautiful, but...
And old people are so beautiful. Okay, that's the thing. I see, like, my grandma... No, but really, my grandma, my nanny, my nana, like, they're older, obviously, because they're my grandmas. And I know that they're like, oh, no, like, these wrinkles. Or even my mom has gotten to a point where she's like, oh, no, I'm starting to look so old. I'm like, you're so pretty.
You're supposed to look old.
You're so beautiful. Yeah, you're old enough to have grandchildren. We're just not providing. Like, you should be looking older, you know? And what a blessing it is to age. But as women, I don't know that guys struggle with this as much, but as women, it is hard getting older. Like, it really is. And even, like, we were at the gym and someone was like, you're getting married? How are you that old? And then they're like, you look really young. You better, hold on to that or take that while it lasts. And you just always get told that. So as a girl, it's so hard getting older. Like, being in my 20s even and knowing that people who I never would have thought are getting Botox, like, they're going to look so young, and me and Abby are just going to be our age, I guess.
I mean, we had this conversation of we're going to get Botox because we don't want to, like, look older, but, like, what a blessing it is to get older and enjoy the blessings of this life.
And Colton was like, no Botox. So we're like, okay, fine. We, like, everyone around us will stay young except for us. But that's, like, one of the things in this world is on women, like, you just have to want to look younger, and that's so hard because beauty is fleeting. Like, your worldly beauty is not going to last forever. It's the inner beauty. It's your soul. It's the way that you carry yourself and the way that you are to others. That is what lasts forever. So that's why my nana and my nanny and my grandma, like, they're so beautiful to me because I don't see the wrinkles that they see. Like, I'm just like, they're older than my grandparents, but I see their hearts and I just love them for it. So if you are putting all of your worth into the way that you look, it's not going to last. You better be building your character. Work on your inner beauty more than your Botox if you're really wanting to stay pretty when you're older.
You can do both. We're not saying it's wrong to get Botox. I mean,
That's true. That's
do what
true.
you want,
No
but
judgment on that.
make
Because
sure
me and
you're-
Abby were literally like, we should probably do that.
Everybody else is doing it. We're gonna just look like old wrinkly
So it's
weirdos.
no judgment on our end, like to each their own. But more important than outer appearance will always be inward appearance. Even if you're young and beautiful and you have an ugly heart, it's automatically makes you less attractive. I feel like the way that you are inside is so important. So I liked that verse.
That is good.
I think people of all ages can take away from that. Literally, middle school girls are getting like anti-aging creams right now. I'm not even kidding. I'm dead serious. I'm serious.
What?
Like, I'm for real. And like Sephora's and stuff were selling out because like teenage girls were going in and getting all these like stuff to keep them looking younger when they're like 12 years old.
Okay, like facial health is good.
Once again, they're going to have great skin when they're older.
They will.
More power to them.
They will.
But it's just crazy because when I was that age, I was not thinking about it. Like,
No.
I was enjoying being a kid. I wasn't worried about getting older. That's sad.
I think that's why a lot of people always say I look younger because like a lot of people younger than me always just look so much great. Like they do their makeup and their hair and I'm just coming to the gym like, here I am.
You always look good.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
But yeah. You younger girls, you just be
You guys
looking,
are doing good. Like,
you're looking
power
too good
to
for
ya.
me. At that age, I did not know what a makeup brush looked like.
I did. I wore a ton of makeup, but again, to each their own.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Wear makeup, don't wear makeup, just care about your heart more than anything else. That's the biggest takeaway from all of that. It's what's on the inside that matters. So, talking about that, if we're saying it's on the inside is what's more important, what does it look like to be a godly girl then? Like, what is it on the inside that we need to be working on or that is important in our character?
It's funny that you said that because I was reading the verse that says she speaks with wisdom and faithful instruction is on her tongue. Mm-hmm. So and there was another verse earlier that I didn't write down, but it was like a godly woman is quiet and full of spirit or something like that. And so like whenever we're being a godly person, we're slow to speak because we want to always be wise and we want to speak fruit and life into other people and not something that's negative or to tear them down.
That's good.
That's what I think.
Yeah.
That's what I thought when you said that.
I see. Did you know that wisdom is a woman?
What?
Mm-hmm. Like throughout the Bible, when it references wisdom and like wisdom being there, like in the beginning, it says her. It says she, which makes sense. Like, of course, wisdom would be a woman. Let me fact check myself. But in everything I read about wisdom, it references as like her. I don't know. Hold on. In the Bible, wisdom is frequently personified as a woman, particularly in the book of Proverbs. And in Hebrew, the word for wisdom is hokmah, which is grammatically feminine. While this doesn't mean wisdom is a literal female person, it uses a female figure to represent the abstract concept of wisdom and its qualities. So like the qualities of wisdom are what is from womanhood, which is interesting to me.
That is very interesting.
Mm-hmm. So if wisdom is a woman, and to be a godly girl, you got to be wise. Make wise decisions, seek wise counsel, make wise choices, use wise words, like all of that. Yeah. I just said, wise.
How do we become wise?
Do you have an answer for this? I
No.
do. Out of my wisdom. Out of the Lord's wisdom. So, wisdom, I mean, there's other things in the Bible that it says you can ask for and the Lord will give you. But the one thing it's very clear on is wisdom. Like, if you ask the Lord for wisdom, he will give it to you in abundance. He will generously give it to you. And so, ask him for it. Like, he wants to make us wise. And we see in the Old Testament, he said, Solomon, whatever you want, I will give it to you. And Solomon didn't say anything worldly. He said wisdom. And because he said wisdom, God gave it to him in abundance. Like, he was the wisest man to ever walk the world besides Jesus himself, because he asked for it. If he could have had anything, that's what he wanted. And so I think through that, but also through experiences, because wisdom, you know how people say older people are just wise, like they have that wisdom. It's because they have experience, they have lived and they've experienced things. But to be wise and to have that kind of knowledge, it's knowledge is like understanding of like facts and stuff, but wisdom is in the soul, it's in the heart. And something I'll never forget, her name was Sonia. She was my like children's pastor as I was growing up, and she wrote a letter to my papa one time and just said, I was wise beyond my years. Like, and that really stuck with me because I didn't understand wisdom. I was a kid, but I've been through a lot. And so I had a lot of experience. I had trauma, I had hurt, and I had wisdom because I saw things differently than kids my age. I wasn't just a kid going around like being a kid. I knew things and I understood them. And so from that, I carried myself differently. I grew up really quickly and I spoke well. Yeah, I've always, like, that's always been in my character just because of how I grew up and the things I had to see and go through. So you can ask for wisdom, but sometimes when you ask for things, you have to go through an experience in order to gain them. And I would say wisdom is heavy on that one. Yeah.
That's true. When I think of wise people, I don't always think of the smart people who have all the facts. They just annoy me because they're just so smart. When I think of like wise, I think of like a woman who's nurturing and like caring and just like radiates like peace. And does that make sense? Like someone who's just very like calm and nurturing to be around, and like they give the best advice or the best things to help your soul whenever you need it. That's what I think of when I think of wisdom.
Yeah, I think of all, like every movie ever, like Kung Fu Panda, and there's that old turtle, or you know, that was just the first one that came to mind. But when they always need the wise person, it's always this old, like just peaceful being who's very in tune and knows things. So I agree. When I think of wisdom, I don't think of a super knowledgeable person. I just think of someone who carries themselves in a way that shows they've experienced and they have like worthy advice. Yeah, that's what I think of with wisdom. So how to be a godly girl, be wise.
That's good.
Make wise decisions. Yeah, you can know a lot of things and still be making really poor decisions. Like Solomon was the wisest man, and he married a ton of girls and like messed up everything for himself. So even with the wisdom, he didn't put it into practice. He didn't put it into play. There came a point.
Why guys aren't wise.
That's why they're not wise. You don't see a girl marrying a bunch. I mean, we didn't have that kind of power.
Sorry to the godly guys that are listening. You can be wise.
You can be wise. Just marry smart.
No, marry wise. Wait.
You're right. Yeah. Wisdom.
All right.
That was good. Good quality to have.
That is. Another thing we didn't talk about it, we just wrote it down in our text that said a godly girl is modest. And so I think that a lot of times in our culture it's hard to be modest because of all the new trends or the things you see. It's like, I don't know, what is modesty to you?
That's what I was going to ask you. What is modesty? Because to me it's more than just the clothes you wear. It's the heart behind it. This is going to sound judgy, but there are certain, like, I, from a very young age, was sexualized, and so I, like, started to, I don't know, I just felt like I dressed in a way that I knew what was going to get people's attention, in a sense. Like, I wanted to be seen as cute and attractive and all of these things, and I see girls who I can tell they're doing the same thing. Like, it's their heart posture and the way they're carrying themselves, even more than the things that they're wearing. Because there were other girls who were wearing the same things that I were, and I can see two girls wearing like very similar things, but one of them I can tell is just out of the innocence of like, this is cute and I don't care, and the other one is doing it with the intent to attract people or to be seen a certain way. So I think it's more than just the clothes you wear. It's your heart and the intention behind it. But you should dress in a way that isn't causing people to stumble. So even if your heart isn't in the right place, because there were seasons where my heart was in the right place and I didn't think anything about it, but I still wasn't dressing in the way that pleased the Lord. Yeah. What is modesty to you?
Let me think. I don't know. I agree. I think that modesty is definitely not going out to try to get people's attention. Like, you're going out and just in the hood, in the street clothes. I don't know.
Have
you said that
have
very
you ever
well.
struggled with that? Like modesty?
I think that's a hard one for me because I don't.
didn't.
Like, with clothes wise. Like, I just wear my clothes, and I'm like, I don't want people to see me as like a sexual thing or like in that way. So I'm just wearing my regular baggy clothes, that unless we're going to the gym, or like even then I'm still wearing normal clothes, I think. But I don't know. I don't think I've ever really struggled with that because I just never had. I never cared. I never cared what anyone else thought about what I was wearing or.
I think that got hard for me in high school because that wasn't my intention anymore, and I was just dressing like literally everybody else, and I kept getting in trouble, and I kept getting called out, and I'm like, literally everybody around me is wearing the same things, and so when people were calling me immodest, this is the thing, where I don't want to call people out. I want to help and correct so that they aren't seen in a negative light, but you have to be so careful with your words, because there came a point where people were convicting me and saying things about the way that I was dressing or that I was like wearing inappropriate things, and I genuinely didn't see anything wrong with it, and it just made me feel like I'm trying to dress better, like I'm actually trying to be more modest and cover up, and then people were still sexualizing me, and it might have been because people had that assumption before then, and so I might have brought that on myself, but when I was trying to dress better and not be seen in that way, I still was, and so I was getting in trouble for the things that I was wearing that everybody else was wearing too. And that was hard. That was really hard because I was trying, and it made me like, what's the point of even trying? I should just go dress the way that I used to, because nobody cares. Yeah, it wasn't making a difference, but
I think it definitely has to do with your intention and your heart behind it, and I don't know.
Yeah, just check yourself. That's the biggest thing. Why do you want to wear the things that you do? And ask God if Jesus was with you, in the room with you, would you be comfortable wearing that? No, really. Because I would get so annoyed when people would say, like, you're causing guys to stumble. I'm like, well, that's their fault. Like, don't put that on me for their problems with lust or for their intentions or the way that they think. But at the same time, if that's my brother in Christ, like, I don't want to be seen that way. So even though it's their thoughts, and like I can be dressed modestly and they can still be stumbling, like that's not on me. But I don't want to tempt them in any way. I just don't want to anymore. I don't want to be seen that way anymore. And there was a time when I did want to be seen that way. Like, I just wanted to attract guys, and it led me to be in situations where guys wanted me for my body, even I wasn't willing to give it, but they had that assumption because of the way that they saw me, and that was hard. But
something else you used to say too was like, are you gonna post it on Instagram, and if Jesus saw it, like what would he think? Or like, if you post it and your mom saw it, what would she think, you know? And so I think it's important to just, if you're questioning, is this appropriate, it's probably not. You know,
if you have to ask yourself that at all, because that became when I started leading in the youth, not even as student director, but as a small group leader, and our girls started following me, I'd be like, I just don't feel like I should post this picture of me in a swimsuit. I'm half naked. Like, I don't want them to see that, you know? And then this year, for the first time, like, I wear pretty much baggy stuff to the gym all the time now, and that's because the gym, I just didn't care. It was different because no matter what I was wearing, it was always more than the other people, like, in the gym. And so I kind of justified it in my mind. But then I realized if one of my students was at the gym, like, if the guys in our youth group started working at the gym, if the guys in our youth group went to our gym instead of the gym that they go to, would I feel comfortable with them seeing me in this tight of clothes? And my answer was no. Like, I'm supposed to be their youth leader. I don't want them to see me that way. So then I'm thinking, there are all these other people around me that, why would I want them to see me that way too? So I got gym clothes conviction this year for the first time. I really did. And that, like, I just never expected that. But the Lord has been working in my heart, and it's been a process because, very different than where I came from.
So in conclusion, if you question it, don't wear it.
Mm-hmm.
Don't
if
do
you
it.
have to ask
Or
yourself.
wear something more. Don't not wear something.
If you're questioning it, no clothes.
Just go naked.
But no, that's good. And I think, sorry, I'll close
Nope,
off
you're
on
good.
this topic. I just didn't know how heavy we were going into this or not, but I really, really struggled with this. And then another thing, like after my wreck, I put on a lot of weight and then I lost a lot of, like my body was just always fluctuating. So then whenever I started to get fit and like be more comfortable in myself, it was almost like I thought, well, I've worked really hard for this. Like I've put in the effort to work for my body. So like I should show it off, right? It's like, no, it's a temple. And
That is meant for your future husband.
yeah, that's meant for my husband to see and him only. But there's, I don't know, just such a distortion. And I'd heard it like this before that, you know, it says in the Bible, like people used to go to the temple and feel like that's the only place that they could worship. And then Jesus was like, no, I am the temple. And so same thing with like my body is a temple. I want people not to worship my body. I want them to worship Jesus that lives inside of me. And sometimes it's going to be hard for them to see the Jesus inside of me if the way that I'm dressing is a distraction and making them stumble. And I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. So we got modesty, wisdom, no fear of the future. What else? What makes us godly girls?
She selects wool and flax and works with eager hands. I think that the eager hands is the key point in that. I take that as like eager hands to work for the Lord.
Like you're excited about it.
Mm-hmm. And I think that it's easy, like, as you get out of high school or college to go into a workforce and then work as much as you can, make as much money as you can, do as much as you can all the time. And then where does God get the glory in that? Because you're working so much that, for one, you don't have enough time to give him his quiet time that you need with him. And for two, it's like you are literally pouring so much that you don't get a moment of intake from the Lord and what he has for you. So there comes a point when you can't pour out anymore and you come to a breaking point that is not what God wants. He wants you to work with eager hands and take in what he has for you as well.
That's good. Eager is the key there because we are hardworking girls, but eagerly? Like, do we wake up excited to do the work for the Lord?
I wake up 10 minutes before I'm supposed to be at my job and I say, oh my gosh, I gotta go. No, I'm not eager.
Hopefully that changes in the new season of life.
Yeah. Okay, I am eager. Like, whenever I get there, I do love working where I work, but
it's just the getting up
in the morning,
part.
I'm not a morning person,
Not a morning
so
person.
that's not a thing for me.
There's seasons where I am eager to work and I want to serve the Lord, and then there's times where I'm working so much that I'm just burnt out. And I don't think that's God's intention for us either. He wants us to enjoy the work that he's placed before us and thrive in it, not drowned in it.
Yeah, I think it comes to a point when it's just a duty and it's not something that's glorifying him. And a lot of Proverbs, it's talking about like when you're married and like how you provide for your family. And I think in this instance, it also talks about like eager to work for your family. And like if you set yourself up now, like before you get married or before you have a family, in a routine of I'm working, and then whenever you get a family, it's like you have no time to work and provide for your, like you are providing for your family, but not the emotional needs that they need because you're just working so much. And you're not going to be eager to provide for them. You're going to be eager to build your own kingdom at that point because you've been working so hard for yourself, not for the people around you.
That's good. And I think in all throughout Proverbs 31, it is about balance because it talks about family and servanthood and loving and hardworking. And so that's why it feels impossible because it's everything. And so many times we will hone in on one thing, but you've got to at least pick a couple because you got to be balanced. Like if you are like, okay, this says hardworking, so I'm just going to be the most hardworking person, and then you're neglecting all of the things that are good for your soul and to help those around you, then you've missed the point, I feel like. Yeah. I mean, that's great. Being a hardworking person is great. So no hate on that. But this isn't me. Let me just be honest. I'm calling myself out right now. Working hard, Tori, is great. Like, you should be a hard worker, but you're letting yourself go, just like bending over backwards to do things for other people. And a Proverbs 31 woman, that ain't what it means.
No.
So I don't know if you've ever seen this, but on TikTok there was this thing where it was like, are you a Proverbs 31 woman or a Judges 4 woman? Have you ever seen that? No. I'm on a different side of TikTok, I guess.
I just don't have it right now.
Oh, that's true. Well, Proverbs 31 is like that and all those peaceful, calming, loving attributes. And Judges 4 is the story of Deborah. And she was a judge, she was a leader, and people were like going to her with their problems. She was like a huge part in Israel's freedom and ruling, which is wild. She's the only woman judge, I think, that we have in the Bible, because women were so disrespected and seen as property. Like, they didn't really have a voice. Earlier you were like, what's the significance of Elizabeth? And then we started to look into it, and it's like, oh, she was the mother of John the Baptist, and that's about all we get. Because motherhood is great. In motherhood, like, she raised John the Baptist, which was the person who led the way for Jesus. Like, being a mom is so important. So I'm not saying that it isn't, but that was like the only value in women back then, was to bring children. Like, that was it. So then when you read in Judges 4, and it's not just the attributes of a wife, but of a woman, like a leader, and she's authoritative, and she speaks well, and she's bold, and she's courageous. It's like, why would you not aim to be both? I think there's a reason that there's different women highlighted in the Bible, because it's not like we have to fit into this category of a Proverbs 31 woman with all of these crazy things. It's like, look at the women individually in the Bible who are mentioned, and the fact that they're mentioned is insane, because, again, women were seen as property. So if they're in there through their name or just through a story, then it's important, and we should be looking at their character and why they were in there and how we should be more like them. Yeah,
I wrote down 3 women, because the other women, I was like, I actually don't know their story, so I don't want to write it down and be wrong. But Mary was humble and was chosen to be the mother of Jesus, and so she birthed him, obviously. Mary Magdalene, she was delivered from demons, and then she was one of the first witnesses of she was the first witness of the resurrection, and so that's a very crazy important one. The Samaritan woman became an early evangelist after she found the love of Jesus. She went back to her hometown and was evangelizing to everybody that she saw. So I think there's a lot of power in being a woman. You hold a lot of power and ways to help people find eternity, you know?
Yeah. And so through each of those women in the Bible, we can see that to be a godly girl, you should be humble, you should be willing, you should be open, you should share the good news more than anything. That's not just a command to girls or to guys. That is a Christian call. Like, if you're a Christian, that's what you should be doing, is sharing the good news, loving God, loving others. And I think that we see that heavily in the women that it does mention by name. And the Samaritan woman, we don't even get her name, but we know that she was important enough that...
We know that she was a woman.
We know that she was a woman. Yeah. So that's good. Very good.
It is. That's all I got.
That's good. I have one more thing. Hold on. Okay. So this is one thing. When we were talking about what are we even going to talk about today on the podcast, we were both like, just a good person. Like, how do you just be a good person? Because we've talked about these things that can make you a bad person, like greed and pride and...
Gossip.
Why do I keep forgetting that one? Yeah. Like greed and pride and gossip. And so what does it look like to just live as a good Christian person, how to live the walk, how to have that kind of life? And so I thought of the fruits of the Spirit, and we don't have to dive deep into each of these, but I do want to read it because this is something that if you're a Christian, it says they will know you by your fruit, meaning the way that you live and how you act will be the evidence of your faith. That's how people will know if you are a follower of Jesus or not, if you are living in a way that represents him. And so the fruits of the Spirit, the way that people should know you by, it says, hold on. Let me read Ooh, I don't know if we want to go into that right now. I'll just read the fruits of the Spirit for today.
I was
Okay.
gonna say, that's a lot.
Yeah. It says, but the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control. And then it says, against such things there is no law, but that doesn't belong without the whole context of the passage. So right before that, it's listing off all of these things that prevent someone from like inheriting the kingdom of God. And so it's like sin after sin after sin, which feels so convicting because it's like, oof, like that's me. But yeah. I warn you, as I warned you before, those who do such things, as in the passage above, will not inherit the kingdom of God. But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, gentleness, faithfulness, goodness, and self-control. And then to close that one off, in that passage it says, and those who belong to Christ have crucified the flesh with its passions and desires. So all the things that it listed before, those should no longer be the things that control us. If we live by the Spirit, let us keep in step with the Spirit. Let us not become conceited, provoking one another, or envying one another.
I think it's easy as a woman to become very envious of other women because it's like, oh, I see how they're living. They have, from the outer appearance, almost all those attributes that we listed at the beginning. And it's easy to say, oh, I can never measure up. But God doesn't call us to measure up. He calls us to know our worth and to try to live it out.
Mm-hmm. And not to live like the other women in our life, but to live with the Spirit that is in us and by the fruits that He has called us to. Yeah. I think the most important thing to be a godly girl is you have to know God. Like we can talk about these are the things that you should do, but a lot of these things are impossible without God. Like to forgive and to love selflessly and to live with purity, those things feel impossible unless you have God. Sometimes they don't feel possible even with Him because it's a process of learning and growing. So that's the most important thing. If you want to be a godly girl, is you have to know God. How can you showcase Him if you don't knowcase Him? How do you show Him if you don't know Him?
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Don't.
Should we say a prayer?
I think so.
Just in case someone's listening and they're like, that sounds really good. I feel very far away from that because listening to this, again, it might sound unattainable, and on this side of heaven, you're never going to be perfect. But when you accept Jesus, He already sees you in the fullness that you will someday be in heaven. That is the craziest part. He doesn't look at your past. He doesn't look at your mistakes. He doesn't look at when I dressed immodestly or whenever I did all of these other things. And that's not how He sees me. And sometimes I can still get caught in that and associate myself with who I once was. And maybe you're listening to this and you're like, that's not even who I was. That's who I am right now. But I want to be a godly person. I want to live a life that is worthy of who He's called me to be. I want to live in the value that He has for me and not just be tearing myself down. And so we want to give you that opportunity today. If you do not know Him and you want to, the first step to being a godly girl is knowing God. The first and the most important, more than meeting requirements on a list, checking off, am I this yet? Will I ever become this on this side of heaven? He doesn't even care about that as much as He just cares about your heart. This comes naturally. I mean, hard with work, but by nature because the Spirit does the work in you. It's not about you and what you can achieve. So don't think, I have to become all these things right now. All He wants is you, and He does the work. He'll do the work. You just got to be willing. Yeah. So.
That's good. I think it's easy to hear all that too, though. And if you are that person who's stuck in that, and well, what if other people don't see me as changed? They're not going to see you as changed for a while, but you're going to know in your heart that you've changed. And if they don't believe you, that's okay because you have Jesus, and it might just be a process, but you've got to trust Him.
Mm-hmm. That's good. Do you want to say the prayer? Yeah.
Sure. Dear Heavenly Father, I just thank You so much for this podcast and being able to speak on how to be a godly girl today. I know it's not easy, but with You, it becomes a little easier. And I just pray that whoever's listening today, if they don't know You, I just pray that they would repeat this after me and they would be able to experience you for the first time. Dear Heavenly Father, I know that I'm a sinner. I know that I fall short of your glory every day. But you sent your Son to die on a cross for me and forgive me of my sins. I pray that you cleanse me and come into my heart and live with me forever. Do that I pray. Amen.
Amen. With that being said,
XOXO.
Godly
Godly
girls.
girls.